And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our second broadcast of the day. Welcome back to the ESL Masters Spring 2024 Europe Qualifier, the very first open qualifier here for the spring season. And I'm of course just Live VIP. I'm joined by the amazing people in the chat and by all these amazing players as well. The bracket is massive. The bracket is insane. Exclamation mark B. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. We just wrapped up with the first Asia Open qualifier a couple of hours ago. We wrapped it up. We were able to feature the first players making it through into the closed qualifier. Likewise, we are here to find out the same, but with the European region. Again, three regions back to back to back. 3 regions back to back to back are going to be showcased here on the channel. First, we had Asia, followed by Europe, which is currently ongoing, followed by Americas thereafter as well. So 3 regions here tonight. Then we can take a break, then we can get some sleep, and then we can dive right into day 2 tomorrow, as this is the first of 2 open qualifiers. So if your favorite players don't make it in, if your favorite players don't quite qualify, then they have tomorrow as a second chance. They do have a second chance tomorrow instead. And I recommend checking out the bracket because it's massive, it's insane. And you can see here before you, we have our starting players. We have a bit of a TVP. No, my apologies. We have an RVP, as Uthermal versus Jomek is going to be random versus Protoss. Again, Ubu Thermal has been a part of this, or has been competing as random for quite some time now. Of course, creating content for his YouTube channel, as always. And I'm curious because his random has been very hit and miss. It's been very hit and miss. At times he can roll a race that he's confident with like his Terran, and do very well. At other times we've seen his Zerg and we've seen his Protoss, and it leaves a little bit to be desired, especially against pro players. So a risky maneuver here from Uthermal to go for random against his opponent, and we are in a mirror match. Oh my god. Let's go. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Ghost River LE, we have our usually Terran, but now a Protoss player from the land of the Netherlands, representing Team Offside. It is Uwu Thermal. And let me quickly fix up his in-game name. Bam, there we go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Polish Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Super People Esports. It is Jomek. Oh boy, here we go. And again, if you're in the chat, I do recommend checking out the bracket yourselves. And we have some other English broadcasters that are covering some of these matches alongside us. We have Rotterdam somewhere in the bracket, casting his own series. We have Steadfast as well, and ourselves. I think there's only 3 English streams, but I mean, that's better than ESL, better than the Asia qualifiers, where we were literally the only English broadcast for that qualifier. So, year after year, we're the only broadcasters that cover every single region. I'm gonna try and do that again here. I mean, I'm still a little bit under the weather, so I'm not so confident, but I'll try and do my best to cover every single region, something that no other streamer does out there. We do what we can, and to be honest, by the end of it, our brain is a little bit incoherent. It's like we have a hard time stringing sentences together because it's just been a brutal weekend of StarCraft. But we'll try and do it again. Let's go. We're here for it, bud. We're here for it. As we have a gate expand. Okay, Jomek going for a gate expand into Cybercore. Economic opener, greedy opener here from our blue Protoss player. Meanwhile, across the map, Ubu Thermal going for a 2-gate opener himself. Could be tempted to go into a 1-base all-in. Could be very tempted. We'll see what Uthermal does whip out instead. We do have that probe out on the map. We will be throwing down a proxy pylon. This may just be a proxy pylon for a Stargate to expand, get into our natural base, and do some economic damage with oracles instead. We'll keep an eye on Uthermal. Again, for now, he's the one who has to respond to the greed of Jomek. Shield battery has been thrown down. Rush distance by ground here on Ghost River is actually quite short. Can be very aggressive on this map. For now, we have 2 stalkers, do have another handful of stalkers on the way behind this. It's going to be a robo follow-up here from Jomek. Twilight Council from our orange Protoss player. And there it is. It is not going to be a Stargate. It's going to be a third gateway instead. One base all in. It's going to be a one base all in by Uthermal. It's going to be Blink based as well. We should be rushing into Blink in towards a fourth gateway, and it's going to be a one base. I imagine a 4 gates all in, but now it is going to be 3 gateways, and yeah, we're going to be quite committed here. We are going to be quite committed indeed. So far, Jomek responding beautifully, going for that robo. We'll gain access to Immortal production with the power of Immortals, with a handful of Stalkers, with a shield battery, with an overcharge. We're going to be perfectly safe and sound, at least initially. The power of Blink gives you the power of mobility, and Uthermal, with a mass amount of Blink Stalkers, doesn't have to try to break down the front door. He could try to bypass the army, bypass the defenses, and go straight into the main base. That's going to be the big avenue here, the big win condition for Uthermal, is trying to outposition Jomek. We'll see if he can. But now it's going to be rallying across the map. But now he is going to be rallying on out. Trying to keep up with the rushing of his opponent. Jomek now has his first Immortal. Second pylon on the way. Second shield battery on the way. Just to be able to maintain himself. We can see Uthermal rotating around. I am loving the spotter pylon here from Jomek. Again, Uthermal does need high ground vision, but he soon will get it. As he can warp in an Adept across the map, for example. Can warp in a Sentry for hallucination. Adept would be able to shade into the main. Regardless, the armies are going to be trying to bounce off each other. You do see Uthermal diving in the army, gets a Stalker. Not bad. Does manage to get one of those Stalkers. Doesn't lose a Stalker of his own, not yet. Again, just dancing with the army. Gets the Sentry as well. Good pickoffs here from Uthermal. Behind this, there's that Sentry. With the Sentry, we can hallucinate. We can get high ground vision. We can dive into the main. And so far, Uthermal has been trading well. And yeah, it looks like he is thinking about headed towards that left-hand side. But now we have a third Immortal. No shield battery in the main base, by the way. I am concerned. Shield battery in the main. There's that hallucination, and we're going for the dive into that main base. Yeah, Blinks right in. Immortals are out of position. Stalker's out of position as well. We're going for the robo. We're going to get the snipe. Without that robo, no more Immortals. We're only on 3. I mean, 3 is still a good amount, but again, we would like more. Uthermal gets the hell out of there. Still has yet to expand. Remember, the longer this goes on, the better it is for Jomek. But now he's down that robo. Going for the pylon. Ooh, that was an Artosis pylon as well. Ay, ay, ay. Big oversight there from Jomek not to have a second pylon. And Uthermal is picking this army apart. You can see the Stalkers going down. Good target firing as well. No overcharge. No shield battery. Jomek even just miscontrolling a little bit. Clicking on that gas geyser. Boys are being pulled. And Uthermal is pulling it off. Like again, Jomek, he has double the worker count compared to his opponents. But the economy doesn't matter right now. As I say that, the production is getting back up and running. Warp Gate is finishing. Blink is on the way for Jomek, but the final Immortal falls. There's that overcharge, but Uthermal, he's got double the Stalker count. He killed all the Immortals. More shield batteries on the way. Still no setup in the main base, so we can always avoid it. Yeah, Uthermal able to just once again pick away at the army. Jomek, he just needs a little bit more time. Now we do see Uthermal expanding. But Uthermal, we need to end the game here. He does get the Cyber Core. Pushing on forward into the natural base, but the shield batteries are finishing up just in time. Yeah, the shield batteries do finish. Jomek, this has been a shaky defense, but he's surviving. He's holding. Jomek is still holding on. Jomek, he has his own blink. And with that, you can see him just counteract the blink of his opponents. Zelts are trickling in. The army of Thermal now are taking some losses. Ooh, Stalkers are going down. Jomek is in this. Pops the overcharge, tops up his army. Immortal production has restarted. And the longer this goes on, we mentioned before, the worse it is for Thermal. He needed to get more damage. He needed to end the game, and he was unable to. And now Jomek, he survives. He's getting a third. Thermal still getting his own natural up and running. And Jomek, he's able to maintain his position here. He's taking a lead, extending it. He's got Blink just like his opponents. He's got Immortal production over that of Thermal. Still maintains the higher worker count, has the faster third base. Now, based on the previous control, I do want to say that Thermal has maybe better Blink control, and he could try to flex his micro. But outside of that, there's no Forge, there's no +1, there's no charge, there's no robo production. Speaking of all those things, Forge just now begins for Jomek. That is going to be for +1. Things are going to get better here for Jomek. Third base now on the way for both players. Now, if Jomek is too passive, if Thermal is able to somehow keep Jomek busy back at home, then Thermal can recover. You know, he can get into DTs or disruptor production, or, you know, get into some other kind of advantage here in terms of tech. But Jomek, he's moving out across the map, and there's not much to slow him down. There's not much to keep him pinned back. Force fields are thrown down. We can avoid it though with those Blink Stalkers. That should bleed off a couple of Stalkers. Yeah, but alas, we can just dive on the army. The Immortals are going hand overcharges while boys are being pulled. Again, they have to be. The juggling looking good here for Jomek, and he's looking to snowball out of control. Thermal, he almost did pull off the one base all in. He almost did punish Jomek, but wasn't able to kill him, wasn't able to do enough damage. And Jomek here with the counter attack. He's snowballing out of control. Still has 2 Immortals alive. GG gets called, and Jomek will take game number 1. GG. A solid game there out of Jomek. Again, his win condition was just to defend, was just to survive. I was feeling concerned for Jomek, if you remember, when he lost his first 3 Immortals, when he lost his Robo, right? Like, it was like a cascading, like just a turn of events there for Jomek, where he was out of position. He lost his Robo in the main base, he lost his Pylon, he lost all of his Immortals. But what's important is that Thermal didn't get into the natural, and he did not camp the production. He wasn't able to touch the economy, didn't kill any probes. Because of that, it didn't matter that he killed all those Immortals. Jomek, he survived, maintained his economy, and was able to snowball from there. GG, very well done by Jomek. And Jomek is 1 game away from advancing on into the next round. Thermal has to fight back here and now to try to force that ace match. Oh boy. Here we go. So getting into game 2. For those that are curious, Thermal is still committed to random. Is still committed. Oh my god, and we have rolled our race. Spawning in the bottom right hand corner of side Delta, we have our traditionally Terran player from the land of the Netherlands, but he rolled random and he's rolling as Zerg. Still not his main race, so I am concerned. We'll see if he can still pull this off though. Down in this series, can he bounce back? It is Thermal. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Polish Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Team Super People Esports, leading the series 1-0. It is Jomek. I quickly just fix things up here. There we go. Again, for those that are maybe newer fans of StarCraft and are maybe unfamiliar with Euthermal, he's honestly a pretty accomplished pro player, or he was an accomplished pro player, but in recent years he did retire essentially. He stepped away. He was on Team Liquid for a very long time, left Team Liquid a couple of years ago, and has been more focused on creating content. You know, he's more of a... I mean, his meme is he's the YouTube man. He has a very successful YouTube channel, and he does make a lot of videos. He's got a great personality as well. He's a great guy. But because of this, because he's been focusing on his content creation, again, his main focus isn't on improving in StarCraft. You know, he doesn't practice the way that he used to. He doesn't compete the way that he used to. And as a result as well, he has embraced playing random and playing all 3 races instead of just one. And the reality is that even though he's a good player with all 3 races, that is true, his off races are not as strong as his main race. You know, Terran is really where he does thrive the most. It's where he has the best opportunity to cause upsets. Here with Zerg and Protoss, it's going to be an uphill battle. I mean, on the one hand, yes, Jomek, he isn't, you know, a max pack. Jomek isn't a Showtime, but he's still a strong player. Jomek is still definitely one of the best in Europe nonetheless, and, you know, can Euthermal's off race really keep up with Jomek? We're here to find out. We are here to find out. For now, it is going to be a gate expand into the Cybercore standard opener here from our Protoss player. Do see Euthermal likewise getting into his own opener as well. Again, it looks like we only made a handful of lings. I've been focusing on queen production, getting into our standard setup here on 2 bases, working towards eventually a 3rd base as well, I imagine, from the side of our Zerg player from Euthermal. We shall see. Wonder if Offside Gaming is Mark's own team. I mean, so for those who are maybe unaware, Offside, of course, is a sister team of Onside Gaming, and Offside did pick up Euthermal for competing in WTL in World Team League. It was announced a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago at most, that Euthermal was picked up on a... Oh God, we've seen this before. Picked up at least on a seasonal basis as a mercenary for WTL. Meanwhile, that is a fast lair. That is Overlord speed on the way. It's looking like a Ling Queen all in. It's looking like a drop of Lords. Oh boy. Yeah, we're not joining up any further than that. The lair hasn't spotted. Big scout here from Jomek. This lair is far too early, and there's no reason to have a lair this early on unless we're going for an all-in. Whether it's a Nidus-based all-in or whether it is drop of Lords, regardless, Jomek should realize that something is wrong. And how will Jomek respond? For now, his gateways are finishing up. Queens are going to be soon waddling across the map. Lings are amassing as well, and there are those drop of Lords. The Queens are soon going to be coming. Now, what's important here is that this needs to get damage done. We're cutting workers at 29, and the reality is that even if Euthermal kills the 3rd base, that's not enough damage. Even if the 3rd base is killed, you can see the Jomek, he's got 41 probes, he's got a hefty economy here. If Jomek minimizes his losses, if he holds onto his natural instead, then he can recover, he can bounce back and retake his 3rd base and get into a longer game from a better position. Ooh, as Lings are flooding in! The wall is not a wall. Jomek, the wall left open there. Unfortunately, the Stalker got surrounded. Lings, they flood into the main base. They're going for their 2nd Stalker. Big pickoffs. 2 Stalkers go down. Doesn't sound like a lot, but in and all in, every unit counts, especially for the Protoss. Queens, they get dropped across the map. They're going to be setting creep. And this 3rd base is going to be forfeit. I don't see a world where we can save this. Void Razor on the way. We cancel the shield battery. The Nexus does finish. Nexus does finish, and again, we just have to be very careful to overexpend. We spoke about this. There's no saving this phase. Jomek should be aware of that, and he has to play this very carefully. No shield battery at the natural, by the way. No shield battery, no overcharge. Very risky. Now we start a shield battery, but this is a late reaction, and Jomek, he's supply blocked. Jomek is supply block. He needs to free up some supply. I mean, the Void Ray does go down. We can warp in. We desperately need more units as Euthermal is just link flooding into that natural. And he's breaking through. Gets the Oracle. Shield Battery was just far too late here. And Euthermal, he has done it. He's broken that natural. He's broken the natural, and with that, he is going to be breaking the main base, breaking the game here for Jomek. Production's getting depowered. How many gateways do we have active? We have 2 gateways in the main base. But soon we'll be losing our cyber core. And again, like, we just did not take the all-in seriously enough. Jomek, his reaction was just a little bit too lax. And from here, now we can drone. Now we are droning. Getting up to 49 workers, taking our gases, Evo Chamber for upgrades. Roach Speed is on the way alongside the Roach Warren, of course. And the natural is going to go down. And Jomek, he's in a lot of trouble right now. I mean, yes, he is setting up towards, what, 6 gateways and Twilight Council, but this is just going to take far too long. Basically, it looks like Jomek is going for a 1 base all-in. Like, it's his only answer. It's his only way out of this, but even then. The problem is it's going to take far too long. There we go. Boys are being pulled. We're long. Never mind. We're long distance mining. You have creeping spread all around the 3rd base, the natural, and the 4th. We are attempting to expand, but we have queens to deny that probe. Probe goes down. And if Jomek's plan here is to expand and take that natural, I mean, that's just not going to happen from here. And Ling Roach stuttering on forward. GG gets called, and Euthermal ties up the series 1-1 with a 2-base all-in. GG. GG, well played. Euthermal does tie things up 1-1 here. Again, the all-in was scattered ahead of time. I want to put a little bit of onus here on Jomek. I do think that his reaction was lackluster. His reaction was very delayed, and again, it felt like he just did not take his opponent seriously enough there. With that, Jomek, he was kind of caught with his pants. He shouldn't have been caught with his pants down, but he was caught out, and things very quickly snowballed out of control. GG, Euthermal does take the game. And now we find ourselves in the ace match. And is Euthermal going to finally roll Terran? He's going to be able to play as his main race. We're here to find out. We are here to find out. As we're going to be loading into Game 3 on Oceanborn. Once again, random has been picked. But what are we rolling as? Protoss, Zerg, or do we get Terran here for the ace match? Do we get the trifecta? At least that's what I'm hoping for. Oh, we got it! Let's go, we got it. Finally rolling his main race. We have the random player rolling as Terran, representing Team Offside, and from land of the Netherlands, it is Euthermal, aka the Protoss fan. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Polish Protoss player representing Super People Esports. It is Jomek. Let us go. Okay, so it looks like we're going to be starting over with a proxy. Yep, we do have the proxy racks on the way. Now, this could be a couple of different things. I would assume this is going to be Proxy Reaper. Based on the rally, makes sense. It's going to be Proxy Reaper. This SCV is designed to go back in towards that natural and throw down a bunker, either behind the mineral line or in the mineral line. We can also try to go for an eBay block, depending on the opener. So, Euthermal can be quite aggressive here. It can be quite chaotic, and Alas, we still don't know what's going on. The probe scout does come in, and now we get eyes on the depot. Again, up until now, Jomek wasn't aware of the race. Wasn't aware of what he was playing against. And because of that, his initial building placement is not in position to wall off the main base. To wall off the Reaper cliff. Because of that, the Reaper gains access to the main.
Game paused.
Ooh, as it looks like we're getting a bit of a pause, and hopefully everything is okay. It looks like we might have some latency issues. I spoke earlier how, you know, he is the YouTube man, he is the content creator, and it looks like he was doing like a challenge earlier. Maybe like a clicking challenge, I guess, like clicking and to build all of his units. Because of that, it looks like he needs a moment. Looks like he does need a moment here to rehockey everything as his Terran before we can dive into this. And so far, it's still a little bit too early to call. Again, there are certain advantages to playing random, as we can see here. Because Jomek didn't know what race Euthermal was, he didn't wall off the Reaper cliff, which means Euthermal's gonna have a much easier time bouncing in between the bases with his first Reaper. So a really nice build and a really nice start for Euthermal, but it comes down to the execution. Is he going to be able to get some damage done? Is he going to be able to minimize his own losses and maximize his own damage? We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Now that we're going to have to take a moment here. Likewise, Jomek has to adapt. He knows that he's a little bit vulnerable, and he is making a Zealot first, a safety Zealot first, which will help against any kind of would-be bunker. But yeah, outside of that, yeah, there we go. It looks like our players are ready. Hockey issues have been resolved. We're diving back in.
Game resumed.
We are diving back in. Speaking of, there's that eBay block here at the natural, but the Zell was already on the way. With the arrival of the Zell, the eBay should be shut down. And this Reaper, we'll see what it can get done, as it should be able to slip into the main base without too much issue. There we go, does slip in. Gonna attempt to focus down a couple of workers. Looks like we get one probe in the main. Oh, two probes in the main. We're going for a third. Zealot has arrived. Probe takes some damage. You do get a third probe. We're gonna get a fourth. Yeah, fourth probe goes down. This first Reaper getting far too much damage done. 5 probes go down in total. Yes, we get a surround. Yes, we clean up that Reaper, but that was 1 Reaper for 5 workers. Well worth it here for Euthermal. Behind this, he's getting into a 1-1-1 setup. This is borderline 1 base all in. We should have had a natural base by now. Okay, there we go. Now we get the natural base on location. Very delayed here after the starport, but it's on the way nonetheless. So we're not all in, but we are committed. What I mean by that is playstyle here from Euthermal does tell us that he needs to kill some workers and make this worth his while, because he's delaying his economy in favor of army. And it looks like he's going and setting up for a Cyclone drop. Second Cyclone on the way, medevac as well. Should be for drop play. Should be 4 drop play as Reaper. Hold on, I'm dying a little bit. As Reaper does slip in. Attempts to get another probe, but is going to get shut down. Good clean up there by Jomek. There's a Cyclone drop moving out. Behind this, getting into our 3-1-1 setup. Raxes are being settled into. Tanks are on the way as well. The tank lab on that factory. As we're getting to early tank production, that is going to be able to shut down any kind of Twilight Council play.
base is under attack.
The drop comes in, and we do confirm that the Twilight Council is done and Blink is in production. And we are getting probe kills. Is that 3 extra probes? 4 extra probes even. 4 workers go down. Cyclone's still looking pretty healthy. Still left untouched. Going back in for a second drop. Oh my god. Yeah, we get into the main base. We get a kill here on the on the Zealot. They're dropping back in. I do see someone in the chat. Sometimes people say their race at the beginning, just sign of respect, not required. That's usually not done in pro play. That's usually only done when laddering, just like to be nice. But if you ever see a player competing as Protoss at the competitive level, then also competing as Protoss, competing as random at the competitive level, then they typically, I don't think they've ever said their race actually. As that's kind of the reason why you would want to play random, is that does give you a bit of an edge. Meanwhile, do you have that Raven Harass coming in? Likewise, Cyclone Drop still being active. Some worker kills. Behind this, we do see Thermal just settling into his own 2-base setup as well. He did initially go for tank production, but it looks like we've cut tanks at 1, only a single tank. This tells me that if Jomek had gone for 4-gate blink, then Euthermal would have been in some trouble. But it looks like he has confirmed that again there wasn't an abundance of gateways. There's a 3rd base, so Jomek is working towards the mid game. He isn't being overly aggressive with blink stalkers. He only has blink stalkers to defend, as he's working towards charge or towards a gateway heavy composition. So the game is going to be settling down. From here, Euthermal is going to be able to expand and get into a 3rd if he so chooses to. Likewise, our Protoss player is just saturating their 3rd base as well, working towards charge, working towards, I imagine, Archon production, but we'll see. We're not there yet. Oh, the Observer comes in just in time. The army has been spotted. Jomek knows. Gonna try and meet the army out of the map. Oh, gateway explosion is still finishing up. Gateways are still on the way. Charge is still not done. We're not ready for this. Yeah, Jomek is being caught with his pants down. We do have the auto turrets. Overcharge gets popped. Can we hold on? With a tank, with the Widow Mines behind this as well. The shield battery gets depowered. We dive on top of the tank, but there's just too much bio here, and Euthermal, he's knowing it, he's breaking through. He breaks through, he's gotten on top of the 3rd base. Again, we needed a couple more seconds. These gateways, they were a little bit too late, a couple of seconds too late. If only we had the gateways, if only we had that extra warp in. And we can see here, the tank finally goes down, but it's too late here at this point. We've killed the 3rd base. Jomek knocked down to 2. And Euthermal is in control. He's in full control of this game. Rallying everything across the map. 3rd base is now being taken on location. Mine shot's going to be going off here on these outs. GG gets called as Euthermal snowballs out of control with his main race and does take the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Euthermal. As he takes down Jomek 2-1, and it was a bit of a back and forth, but I feel like this could have been a 2-0 in favor of Jomek. I don't know, game 2 was a little bit bittersweet. How Jomek, he saw what he needed to piece together that it wasn't all in, but the reaction to the all in was lackluster. That's what I will say. Is game 2, Jomek, he didn't react hard enough here to scouting the all-in, and as a result, he wasn't ready for it, and we saw Euthermal take advantage of him. And here in the ace match, Thermal able to play his main race, able to play a very crisp style there towards the end, pulling Geomic apart left and right, and was able to take him down in the end. Some really clean play there out of Thermal with his Terran. Likewise, good execution of the all-in in game number 2 with his Zerg. But again, it was also on Geomic because he scattered, but didn't quite respond. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Thermal. My condolences to Geomic, as Geomic is going to be knocked out, and Thermal advances on into the next round. But what exactly is going on in that next round? We're here to find out. Exclamation mark B. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to link to the bracket yourselves. As it looks like we have our next series up. As we are going to be following Thermal into the next round, where he has an opponent ready and waiting. It is going to be a bit of a rematch. I say rematch. It is going to be the same matchup here, Random versus Protoss, as waiting in the next round is Zane. Oh boy. And is Zane still on Red Dragons? Hold on. Or actually, did he join Berserker? Just double checking. Yes, technically, okay, he last played for Red Dragons, but Zane is currently teamless. But up next is going to be Thermal versus Zane in a Random versus Protoss matchup. Here we go. Again, Zane, more of a part-time player nowadays, but so is Thermal. So both players in similar states, similar positions. So I'm more than happy to bear witness here to this, to Thermal versus Zane. And our players need a little bit of time to set up their vetoes, to set up their map borders. So we're going to be going on a short break. Going to be going on a very short break here. When we return, Thermal versus Zane is going to be coming at you next. As this is a round of 32 match, if I'm not mistaken. And as a reminder, like, the bracket itself is quite a short one because the round of 16, those are qualifying matches. Those are qualifying matches. So I look forward to getting there. I look forward to following these players, and we'll see how their stories do unfold. But again, we'll see you guys soon after the short break. Until then, take this moment to hydrate, stretch roaches, massage and marines, and we'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. See you then. And welcome back, everyone, welcome back. Again, it was just merely a short break here as our players have conducted their vetoes and we are diving into game number 1 of our second series of the night. Euthermal, he was able to whip out his Ren and play every single race against Jamek and come out on top. But how will he perform against a very different Protoss player? Protoss player from the land of the UK. We're here to find out. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Site Delta, we have our green Protoss player from the land of the United Kingdom. Representing himself, currently teamless, it is Zane. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent from the land of the Netherlands rolling his main race. I mean, did pick random, and as you roll the dice, sometimes you do get all you need here. The Orange Terran player for offside, it is Euthermal. AKA the biggest Protoss fan in the world. Oh boy, and this is best case scenario. This is best case scenario here for Euthermal. We spoke about it before, but Zane up against a random player doesn't know what race he's up against. He's going to be probe scouting. As a result, he sets up a low ground wall. What this means is that Zane does not have a Reaper cliff, or isn't set up to wall off this Reaper cliff here in the main base. So already a little bit of a rough opener here from Zane, but he does confirm the racks, does confirm the race. He is now aware that Euthermal has rolled his Terran. That doesn't bode well. But again, Zane is still an amazing player, and I want to believe that he can take it to Euthermal, even his Terran. But this is the best that Euthermal has to offer. This is Euthermal at his strongest. Here we go. Again, it was a double gas opener here out of Euthermal, so it's going to be a racks into factory. It's going to be delayed starport. Sorry, it's going to be a delayed expansion. This can lead into a starport, into a 1-1-1, into a 1-base all-in, or just into a faster factory with the delayed... Oh! With the delayed expansion. As the probe is going to be shut down. A nice disturbance here when it came to getting that factory up and running. It was a nice delay, but now it is halfway done, and Euthermal can expand behind this, as the first Reaper is moving out. First Reaper's on the way. Zane, interesting choice, going for a Robo Opener. Now, I've been causing Zane for a couple of years now. I say a couple of years, since, you know, since Pakistan was kind of involved and incorporated into the rest of Asia region in EPT. We've been causing Zane for a very long time. And he has had some dominant performances. He has, I mean, his peak was a couple of years ago. But in this matchup especially, I feel like he did thrive, and I'm really curious to see what he whips out here. It's a Robo Opener into a fast Stargate. Very interesting. Okay. Zane, you do have my attention. Is going to be going for that fast Stargate. Now, this is scary just because it's very tech heavy. Very tech heavy. We barely have any units to work with. We skipped Warp Gate to make this happen. Hellion is slipping in. There's nothing to defend. There's nothing to protect ourselves here. And Death gets across the map. Gonna be harassing, gonna be taking down a Reaper. At the same time, boys are being pulled. Ooh, and so far, no major damage. 2 probes go down. We're gonna get a 3rd. We're gonna get a 4th. This is stacking up. This is becoming too much. 5 probe kills for 1 Hellion. Oh god, and finally we clean this up. The Hellion even scattered everything. It saw the Immortal, which means that he knows it's a Robo-based opener. He also saw the Phoenix production as well, so he knows about the eventual Phoenix Colossus setup. Well, it looks to be an eventually Phoenix Colossus setup. And Reaper goes back in for another scout, gets another probe kill. And this is some critical damage. 8 probes go down. We go back in. The Hellion goes back in for another worker. And it even does escape as well. And back at home, what are we working with? We're building up Cyclones, Vikings. This is all to deal with the Phoenixes, of course. Speaking of, try to catch one of them out. Zane hasn't teched into a robotics bay yet, but I expect that to be on the horizon soon. We're still getting into warp gates, still getting into the rest of our setup here. Oh, but Euthermal, he's already pushing. We're following the army, we see it. Shield batteries on the way. But this is going to be a tight hold. We have one Immortal, we have one Adept, we have two Phoenixes. That's the army. There we go, now up to two Immortals. Zane is going to be contained here to two bases. Can't really contest this. At the same time, Euthermal cannot push up the ramp into a shield battery. Ooh, as he gets a Phoenix kill. Once again, aye. This Phoenix is getting very low. The Immortals, they do come out on top on the ground. They catch a couple of free Marines, not bad. Not bad. As the Vikings, they do come across those Phoenixes, they get a couple of free hits in. At the same time, Zane trying to break out across the map. Finally, there's the Bay on the way alongside the Twilight Council. Zane is teching, but he's stuck on two bases, and Euthermal's already taking a third. Like, he's just getting further and further ahead in the economy. And going up against a Terran player who has an economic lead, it's so difficult for the Protoss to pull this off. Zane is playing from behind. We are going to get a handful of SCVs. Good pickoffs. Good pickoffs there by Zane. But the reality is Zane, he needs more damage. He needs to get some more economic damage done somehow, some way. Whether it's with Zealot run buys or Phoenix harass. We need to kill more SCVs here. Otherwise, that lead, that supply lead that Euthermal has, is going to get larger and larger. As we take down another Phoenix. Another Phoenix falls. Third base is now being retaken. It's already up and running here for Euthermal. It's already up and running. We try to catch out on some of these. Medevacs. But the Marines, they just aggressively push forward. They don't even care. Bold move out of Zane, going for a Disruptor first. Very high risk, high reward. But I'll be honest, I don't think, even like the juiciest Purification Nova, I don't think that's enough. One Nova is still not going to be enough here to survive. To swing a fight in our favor. The Mind's going to be burying. Mind shots go off. Ooh, they connect with the army. Nice spread there by Euthermal. He collapses here on the Immortals, and against Marines, Immortals, they barely do anything. They're going to be targeted down one after the other. GG gets called, and Euthermal takes game number 1. GG. Very nicely done here by Euthermal. Does take the first game. Again, Zane had a really rough start. Remember, he lost, what was it, 8 probes in total? He lost 5 workers to the initial Hellion harass, and then he lost even more to the Reapers. The start of the game was rough. And yeah, Zane, he was taken advantage of. Zane was attempting. He was attempting to try to be really tech heavy, to rush into that Phoenix, or rush into the Stargate production. Was punished for it. With that, Euthermal took a really nice lead early on. Took a very nice lead early on. Maintained it, held on to it. GG. GG. See in the chat, is Euthermal a random or a Terran player? Euthermal, he's playing random, but his main race is Terran, if that makes sense. For a very long time, Euthermal, of course, he was a pro-Terran player. Just to reiterate for those who may be unaware, Euthermal even for a time was considered to be the best Terran outside of Korea. Do I want to go that far? You know, back in Euthermal's prime, was he considered stronger than Marine Lord? I think so. Stronger than Bunny. It's hard to say, but Euthermal, you know, he had his own time in the sun. You know, he was able to claim his own wins, especially in international tournaments. He was able to, yeah, have a quite solid career for a time there. But then, we mentioned before, has kind of stepped away from being a pro gamer, stepped away from competitive play, and is more of a content creator nowadays. With that, random. With that, he's embraced the more random approach here. Again, just have some fun. He's less of a serious competitor. He's admitted that himself. But I mean, hey, he's taking the lead in the series, and he's one game away from advancing onto a qualifying match. Can he go even further? We'll find out. As spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have our green Protoss player from the land of the UK, representing himself down in the series. But I believe he can fight back. It is Zane. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the orange Terran player rolling. He rolled random, by the way. He rolled random, and he rolled Terran once again. His main race, going for a proxy across the map. It is Euthermal. Ay. Once again, an ideal start for Euthermal, going for the proxy racks here outside of the main base. Once again, Zane doesn't know what race has been rolled. He doesn't know what race Euthermal is playing, so he has to go for the probe scout, and he has to go for the low ground wall instead, which means there is an opening into the main base. Now, the probe scout does confirm the gases, does confirm that the racks is missing. Now, something important to bear in mind is that in this matchup, the Terran player doesn't have to commit. This could be a fake proxy. The racks could be here at the natural or at the third base. So you can see here Zane, he checks the natural just in case. He should be checking the main base even further, and there we go. He's going to be checking here towards the south. Across the map, we do have the eBay already being thrown down. Zealot is being forced out here, and how many probe kills can we get? The Reaper's on the way. How many probes can we shut down? A lot of this is going to come down to Zane's control and Zane's micro to minimize his losses. As the Reaper has arrived. We're actually going for what looks to be the Zealot first. Okay, focusing down the probe. Probe goes down. The Zealot is going to be able to deny that eBay, but while the Zealot's busy, we head into the main base. Ooh, that's a kill! That's a kill, not a cancel on the eBay. A rough loss there for Euthermal. That is 100. That's quite a lot of minerals down the drain. 175 already. Ooh, but we do get 4 probes before the first Reaper goes down. A bit of a give and take. I would like Euthermal's position if he didn't lose his eBay. If the eBay wasn't killed, I would like the Terran position. But Zane, he holds. And he expands. Back at home, we're getting into our factory, into our starport. Very late expansion here for Euthermal, but we saw something similar against Yomek. Did see something very similar. And the game is going to be selling from here. Ooh, as the Stalker is going to go down, Zealot forced to recall back home. Speaking of recalling back home, we have that Reaper coming back in, looking for more damage. As Euthermal, he's floating back home. I know about Euthermal, I was just wondering for this specific match which he chose. All good, all good. Yeah, for those that are curious, we casted Euthermal before this. He played against Jomek, also played random. I'm pretty sure nowadays Euthermal does play purely random in competitive matches. We've been casting Euthermal recently in ESL Open Cups, and I think it's purely random, but I could be mistaken. And if you've seen otherwise, let us know. If you have seen otherwise. Meanwhile, we do have that Cyclone drop making its way into the main base. We can take down that Zelda. Can we get into the mineral line? We can! A Good target firing again. One of those probes. Ooh, Stalker gets targeted as well. GG gets called. It's far too much damage. Unacceptable losses here at this stage of the game. And Thermal with his opener, with his proxy into the follow-up as well, deals critical damage and will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, very well done there. My condolences to Zane. Unfortunately, it feels like Zane wasn't able to really get into his game, wasn't really able to get into his setup. Just, it can be brutal. The reality is it can be really brutal if you're up against a Terran player that you don't know is playing Terran as well. Like, it can lead to some really, really awkward game states and awkward game starts. And Thermal just took full advantage of Zane. GG, well played. Congratulations to Thermal. And he makes it to a qualifying match. Let's go, Papi. Let's go. He's made it all the way to a qualifying match. Who will he face off against, though? Who will face off against Thermal? Exclamation mark B in the chat. Do we have any qualified players yet? We do not. Not yet, but qualifying matches are starting up. And let's go from the top. From the very top here. Okay, it looks like Strange took down Cuckoo 2-0, and Strange is in a qualifying match, waiting for Deca or Hydra. I'll be honest, I'm gonna favor Strange. We'll see if an upset can happen. You know, in a PvP, anything can happen. Both Deca and Hydra are Protoss players. I wish them the best, but Strange is gonna be coming in as the heavy favorite. Scrolling down, we have UED Soldier versus Nikic. UED Soldier has been on fire recently. He's been improving, I will say that. But I want to give the issue to Nikic there, the Zerg player from Belarus. We'll see though. Best of luck to both those players in a ZVP. Scrolling down. Scrolling down from there, we do have Fiant. Mid-series against Replicants, going up against Power next. Winner goes up against Hate Me in the round of 16. Hate Me is going to be the favorite player throughout all between all those players, but best of luck to Power and Fiant and Replicant as well. Wish them all the best. Meanwhile, Shameless 2-0's Baby Marine. Shameless up against Exo Striker. I want to give the edge to Shameless. I know Exo Striker has been competing for a lot longer, but Shameless, he feels a lot more on points in recent times, so I want to give the edge to Shameless there. We'll see though. We'll see how they do perform. Meanwhile, we have Sebestes versus Rodzin. We have Thermal waiting in a qualifying match for Bubas or Chemo. Bubas? But he's waiting for his next opponent in a qualifying match. Meanwhile, do we have any other matches going on? A qualifying match between Minovike and Art. Aristri's waiting in a qualifying match as well for Roma Rostock. And at the bottom of the bracket, we have Snogstar versus Mixu. Oh, okay. Snogstar versus Mixu, currently ongoing in a best of 5. And does anyone know who Chemo is, by the way? I would love to know, just because they 2-0'd Ashbringer. I was favoring Ashbringer against Chemo 100%, but Chemo took Ashbringer down. That's pretty impressive in my eyes. Pretty damn impressive. I would love to know who they are. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up in the chat, trying to figure out where we are in general. Oh, good. But I guess we're going to be stuck outside of series. We're going to be stuck outside, and we're going to be waiting for a series to open up. I don't know what to look for. Babas against Chemo is definitely something I have my eyes on, just so I can follow Thermal and see how his story ends. You know, does he qualify? Does he not? Otherwise, There's a lot of other really good matches going on. I would love to catch some Fiant. You know, Fiant, he's an amazing player. I'd love to be able to cover some of him in his series. The Shameless versus Extra Striker looks like a lot of fun. And yeah, we're kind of nearing the end of the broadcast. Thankfully. I don't know if you can hear it, but my voice has been dying. Oh, I should say, I'm still sick. I'm still under the weather, and I've just been coughing my lungs out. So with that, aye. But it looks like we have a qualifying match, a fresh qualifying match. Okay, I can get behind this. It is going to be Aristri, the Polish Zerg player, versus Rom, the French Protoss, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not too familiar with Rom, but I'm more than happy to cast him, especially because you're a big shout out to Snogstar earlier. I should have started off the broadcast with a big shout out because we did get a massive raid from Snogstar. Siema, papi, siema. And, yeah, we may as well cover some Polish players, you know, for the people in the chat. Dzień dobry. So, yeah, Aristri versus Rom should be coming up next. We're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we'll have some StarCraft. See you soon. And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that short break as we have returned with a qualifying match with a best of 5 winner of this series will advance on into the closed qualifier. And who will be one of our first to make it through here for the European region? We're here to find out. As spawning in the top left hand corner of Golden Aura, we have our Polish Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Platinum Esports. It is Aristory. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the French Protoss player representing Red Pack Esports. It is Rom. And I'll be honest, we have had the luxury of casting a lot of Aristory recently because we have been covering a lot of Polish only tournaments, events like the House Open Cups, events like the Infolet monthly tournaments as well. Not just that, but other online events in general that Aristory has been taking part in. Rom, unfortunately, here on the CranKy Ducklings, I don't think we've ever had the luxury of casting him. I don't think we've ever featured him in the past, so I'm ready to be introduced. I'm excited because Rom has made it already this far in the tournament, which I'm definitely impressed by. So we'll see how much further we can go. I'm here for it. I am ready for it. Again, for Rom to make it this far is impressive in its own right. It's already a big accomplishment for him. To make it this far, he took down Rostock, a very active Ukrainian Protoss player. So very impressive so far, but can he go even further than that? Can he take down Aristory? I'm going to be favoring Aristory at least a little bit in this series, but that may just be because I'm a little bit more familiar with him as a player. So I'm ready for some Rom. I'm ready to be introduced. Gibbs, man, Gibbs. Here we go. Meanwhile, when it comes to the rest of the bracket, for the most part, most qualifying matches are underway. It's possible that after this series, you might be able to catch another qualifying match. It is possible, maybe even the Fiance series, just because Fiance match is taking a very, very long time. But I won't hold my breath, especially because I've been struggling a little bit. I've been coughing up quite a lot. And if I want to cast the Americas qualifier, then I may need to get some rest after this. We'll see. We'll see what happens. For now, though, Hatchcast pull into a third base, into our spawning or into link speed. Nothing too crazy so far out of Aristory. Everything looking as it should. Meanwhile, Rome across the map, getting into his own gate expand, getting into his own Stargate opener. Pretty standard stuff so far between both players. Again, my eyes are mainly on Rum. When it comes to Aristory as a player, he's very mid-game oriented. Very much so mid-game oriented. Sorry, I'm just clearing myself up. Oh, good as Adepts, they do shade in towards that natural base. Not too bad getting 2 drones so far. As we do catch one of the Adepts, link speed kicks in as well, and the other Adept is going to be hunted down. This suddenly doesn't make it worth it. 2 Adepts for 2 drones. Ideally, we wanted to trade a little bit better than that, as both Adepts do get shut down, and the third base is going to be that much more vulnerable. Lings are moving out. Behind this, Aristory is droning. What I was just getting at is that Aristory, he is very mid-game oriented. Whether it's Ling Bane Roach Ravager or Ling Hydra, Aristory is quite fond of both compositions in the mid-game, and that's where he does thrive. When it comes to Rum, again, I mentioned before that I'm a little bit unfamiliar with him, so I'm excited to see what he brings to the table as Lings. They slip in! No, they do slip into the main base. We get confirmation of the triple Oracle opener. No surprise, this is a pretty standard build. As a follow-up, this should lead into a Forge and a Twilight Council into +1 and Blink, but we'll see if we do embrace Blink or if we go into Charge instead, or even another playstyle. Or even another playstyle. As Oracles, they are getting across the map. Well, they do threaten that third base. Getting a couple of drones, not bad. 2, 3, almost a 4th drone. Just 3 for now. Good damage dealt here by those Oracles. Has to get the hell out of there. Third base is getting up and running. Rome sending out a couple of Adepts here on the right hand side. making his way towards that third. Making his way towards that third base. Does shade in, does commit. Ooh, and do we have any links to defend? We do not, by the way. 0 links out for Aristry. 3 drones go down. Even getting a 4th drone at the very end. Very nice damage dealt here by Rom. And again, Aristry, his greed is getting punished. Now we make a handful of links, but it's too little too late at this point. Damage was done. And there's that follow-up. It is a +1 and Blink on the way, as we mentioned before. Very standard follow-up here out of Rom. And he's going for a tech-heavy style. Instead of going for a gateway explosion, that's a Bay. We have a Bay on the way. That's going to be for Colossus production. It's going to be for most likely a second Robo as well. I'm going to be building up and getting up to 4 bases. So nothing too crazy here from Rom. It's on Aristry to recognize what's going on. Basically, as a Zerg player, once you realize how tech-heavy the Protoss player is being, once you realize that they're taking up in such a direction like Robotics Bay, you want to be throwing down your infestation pit. You want to be droning up to 4 bases, getting a 5th base, getting into an infestation pit, hive tech. Vipers are going to be your best friend, and you do need those Vipers as soon as possible. Whether it's Colossus, whether it's Disruptors, Vipers will help you against all things Protoss from that Robo. For now, though, Aristry staying on a mid-game army, staying on Lair Tech. Looking towards roach speed, of course, +1. Working towards +1 here. And yeah, we'll see how things settle down. There we go. Finally, I was just waiting for the tech of Aristry. There is the hydrogen on the way. There's the infestation pit as well. Again, this is kind of what I was waiting for. So we are taking up towards Hydras and Vipers. We're heading in that direction. Now, this tech is a little bit later than we would have liked to have seen. So there is going to be maybe a window where Rom can move out before the Zerg player is ready. We'll see if that's going to be the case. As Lings attempt to hit that 4th. They attempted the 4th base. Likewise, though, Rom is in position, does protect that 4th, does get into his Colossus production, and will be looking poised to hold on to his bases. A really solid defensive setup. We have a full wall off here at the 3rd, the armies at the 4th. Colossi spread out. And upon confirming this, Aristry should just be being greedy. 5th base is on the way. This 5th could have been a little bit earlier, 100%. Do that. The Lurker Den finishing up, upgrades on the way, a Hive Tech finishing up as well. Again, basically, because the Protoss player is teching and because the Protoss is turtling up on 4 bases, the Zerg can't really break this. The Zerg can't really break this 4th or this 3rd, so there's no reason to build up an army. There's plenty of reason, though, to tech up even further and then focus on your army production instead. And there it is. 3 Vipers are on the way, just as Rom is being active. So by the time Rom moves out, these Vipers should barely be full of energy. Especially as Rom is not pushing, by the way. He's taking up and he's expanding, getting into a 5th base. Interesting. Slow and steady play here out of Rom. Now it's moving out, runs into the army. Where the Vipers... There they are, the Vipers are gathering up that energy as we speak. Again, finishing up just in time. Now, to help counteract these Vipers, we do have High Templar. High Templar, they have feedbacks available, so they can feedback the Vipers. Likewise, Storm is also done. So we have a dance. We have a back and forth here between the Vipers and the High Templar of Aristry and Rom. Speaking of, Vipers are moving out. They get caught. Oh! Oh my god. Viper's getting very low. We go for the yoink. We get one, we get two, we get three. All three Colossi get yoinked, but only two of them go down. Clutch moves there out of Rom. Does save that Colossus. Does save most of his High Templar as well. Has a Storm available. Has two. Has two Storms available here. Yeah, as Rom, he is pushing in. He's getting into the Viper. Does snipe it. Big snipe there out of Rom. Gets the Viper, and we spoke about the tech. We spoke about the tech. We spoke about the Hydras, the Lurkers. Where are they? Where's the Lurker tech? Where's the Hydra tech? It's not here. Just not ready in time. Again, all we needed was a handful of Lurkers, and then maybe we can survive. Rom is breaking through. Reinforcements are coming in. Aristri barely trying to hold on, but a big storm on the links. Oh my god. Massive storm on the army, and Rom has done it. Rom has broken the back here of Aristri, taking out every single Viper, and not allowed a single Lurker to get up and running. Aristri, he needed a little bit more time, and he just doesn't have it. Doesn't have that time. Rom is going to be pulling back, but I mean, he killed the base. Killed the hatchery. From here, he can just back off, wait for another warp in, rotate over, and deny some of these other fringe bases. Rom doesn't have to go back home, but he is. Oh, I'm not too fond of this. So Rom, he turns around, he goes all the way back home, checking his vision. Rom, he has seen both of these bases, he knows. But because he backs off, Lurkers are on the way. And this changes everything. These Lurkers, they will finish, by the way. And Rom, he's going to Sky Toss. No, we're in for a long one. We're in for a long game. Rom, instead of pushing out, instead of denying another base, we're taking up into Sky Toss instead. We're in for a long one. Settle yourselves in, strap yourselves in for a long ZVP, because if Rom doesn't go into kill, then Aristri is going to be able to stabilize. Yeah, you do have a Zealot drop into the main. Zealot drop into the main base. Archon's doing what they can. We get 5 drone kills. At the same time, the main army does get on top of some of these Lurkers. And 3 Lurkers do go down. The other 2 will hold the line. As the Zealot drop in the main base is being cleaned up, Hydras have finally hit the field. I mean, Lurkers as well. We are holding. We are surviving. Now, as Aristri is barely holding on with his Hydra Lurker Viper tech, Aristri were already working on the next step. Not even wasting time with carriers. He's got Tempest on the way. Oh my god. Rom just being as efficient as possible. Trying to claim another 6th base. So far as being denied. Very important here that Aristri does this. Deny these fringe bases. Tempest are amassing as we speak. Aristri trying to get the gold. Aristri is headed for that gold base. Lurkers have amassed. We can still catch this army out. Show Synovas. Main army gets turned away. Nice feedback here on the Viper. Novas go up. Take down one of those Lurkers. Second Lurker falls. Not much of a buffer here. The Lurkers are exposed, and we do get on top of them. So many Lurkers going to be going down. Yeah, Rom getting a massive trade here. A very nice fight there for Rom. And now the Tempests have arrived. The Sky Toss is here. Aristri, yes, he does have a Spire. He's working towards Corruptors. But he has 0/0 corruptors, no upgrades whatsoever. The Lings will get on top of some of these disruptors. We are buying time. But again, Rom is backing off, he's refining his army, he's expanding, taking a safe base. That's all that does matter for Rom. Rom does not have to overextend. Again, Rom, he can take it easy. He can just chill back at home, lay back, get into his Tempest production, his carrier production, refine his army, invest into stack defense. Rom can just kick up his feet and just chill. Meanwhile, Aristri is desperately trying to survive, taking on it even further. Broodlords are on the way. We're done with Lurkers. Getting into Skyzerg, Broodlord, Corruptor, Infestor, Viper is all we need. We're getting there. But Aristri doesn't have the best economy. He's on 70 drones. Has arguably a worse, I would say a worse economy here compared to Rome. I mean, he does have the gold at least, that does help. Rome is pushing. We're down to 3 Lurkers? Oh. 3 Lurkers, 7 Brood Lords. Yeah, Aristri, he's ignoring the main army. This base should be going down. The Corruptor was spotted, which means even though Rome, he never saw bottom left, he's checking. Yeah, he does check. Will shut it down. Yeah, the base is gonna fall. We arguably have too many mortals. Oh, yeah, too many mortals here for Rome. A mass immortal based army is ideal against Lurkers, but because Aristri is working out of Lurkers into Broodlords, these immortals, they have less value. They do have less value now. As Rom is rotating around, looking for another way in. You can see Aristri killing his own Ravagers just to make room. Making room for more Corruptors. Here we go, we are pushing in. Big storm here on the Broodlords. Not a bad start, but the army is being bullied back. Their probes are going down. Throughout all of this small ground army wreaking havoc. 16 drones go down. Very nicely done there. And Aristri, his economy is in trouble. Rom, he's maxed out. Now, Aristri, he has gone for a super maxed army. This is typically inadvisable. It's very much so like a last-ditch effort here for Aristri. Just padding himself out. So we'll try to collapse on this. We'll get one of those carriers. We'll get 2. Not bad. 2 carriers go down. These Corruptors, there's quite a lot of them. They're breaking through. Where are the Archons? Archons, they're late to respond. Their Corruptors, they do well for themselves. Ooh, across the map, the Soldiers, they take down a base. Aye. 2 bases go down in the blink of an eye. Aristri gets knocked down to a 4-base setup. Barely a 4-base setup. Again, this is where we would like to see less Immortals, even killing some of our own Immortals to get into Void Ray production, more Tempest, more Archons, Blink Stalkers, anything else. As we lost every single Corruptor. Sorry, I keep saying Corruptor. We lost every single Carrier is what I meant to say. The Carrier count was reset. Aristri, he can still somehow pull this off. I mean, we're going for a base trade, essentially. We are going for a base trade. These fringe bases are going to be going down. Aristry turns back around. He's coming back home. He's racing back home. Show us the neural. Show us the fungals even. Yeah, the chain fungal in the army. The Mortals, they get another kill on another hatchery. Hatchery is going to be falling. Aristry down to 3 bases. Barely a 3-base economy here as he's long distance mining from another base. No. And despite this chaotic fight here from Rom, it looks like he should still have enough. And I say that the Corruptors are making a beeline for those carriers. Sorry, for this Tempest. Yeah, they're going right for them. They get one. Yeah, they get a second, and it looks like they should be getting a third. Again, the Mass Corruptor had its place. That means the Broodlords, they can push in. Now we have the Mothership on the way. Oh. But yeah, Rom, he's still on 79 workers. He's still on 70 bases. Like, even though Aristry did kill all the carriers, honestly, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter at this point. Aristry does not have an economy, not anymore. And Rom has remaxed. And he's pushing out again. We get Lurker Harass one stop right, which is nice from Aristry. He is dragging away the attention of the army. Interesting. Home was forced back for a moment, but again, he should be able to move out without much reason to be concerned. He always has a recall. He hasn't used it. Rome, you can always recall back home. You can always recall to his main army. Oh, nice fungal, these Stalkers. Can bring some of them down. The armies are clashing as recall just gets used. Rami goes straight for bottom left and he will get a kill. Yeah, the base is going to be going down. It's just a slow systematic choke out here of Aristry as he just barely has any economy, barely any mining. He's got, what, 3/4 of a base here? Nothing in the natural, nothing in the main base. The third, it's non-existent. And again, despite the, I would say the mid-game being pretty neutral, we saw that Rome was able to strike first and strike hard. Remember, the first mid-out from Rome was just before Aristry. Even though he had a Lurker Den, he did have a Lurker Den. But no Lurkers. 0 Lurkers were available. Aristry could not slow down the tide. Tide of Rome. From here, I'm pretty sure Rome is just throwing away Immortals. He knows he doesn't need them anymore. Where he no longer needs them. Nice fungal here on these Void Rays. As it looks like Aristry is going for one final fight, does land a good fungal. Again, like, the use and the control of his main army has always been really good here for Aristry, but the reality is that he just is macro, or his economy behind it, is suffering, has been suffering the entire game. That leads to a position like this where Rum has a bank to work with, so we can remax and remax again and again and again. Aristry cannot, and isn't going to, not here in this series. I mean, he needs a miracle here to recover. We mentioned it before, but basically we're hoping for some kind of harassment, like these Lings and Hydras to find a base, to cripple the economy. With all these cannons and shield batteries, it's difficult. And yeah, there it is. GG gets called. Rum will take game number 1. Whew. GG. Impressive. Very impressive. Very impressive there by Rum. We mentioned before that, honestly, when it came to the first push from Rum, like, he was looking poised to win the entire thing. And he backed off. He went into Sky Toss instead. Slow and steady there by Rum, just to make sure that he had a secure win initially. And he does take it. Does take game 1. But we have a series. We have a series on our hands here. I want to believe we can bounce back. As we're getting into game número 2. Here we go. So now we're settling on in and spawning in the bottom left hand corner of Amphion. We have our Polish Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Platinum Esports. Can he bounce back? Can he fight back in this series? I want to believe he can. The pressure is on. It is Aristory. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the French Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Red Pack Esports. It is Rum. Okay. And again, I don't think game 1 really told us too much about our players. I mean, Rum did go for a very passive style. If you remember, he went into a 3rd base, went into Robo Colossus production in towards a 4th, and then moved out with the Death Bull of an army. And remember, he hit just before Aristory had lurkers. Like Aristory, he had the lurker den, he had the hive, he had lurker upgrades on the way. He needed a little bit more time, or it's one of two things. I would say that either Aristory needed a little bit more time to get into lurkers, or he should have made he should have made Hydras and lurkers earlier on, because if you remember, he was making lurker upgrades, but he had no Hydras to morph into lurkers. So again, maybe Aristory being a little bit too greedy or cutting too many corners instead of respecting the move out of Rum. And because we didn't have lurkers out in time, I mean, that was kind of game where Rum snowballed out of control. He was able to break through the defensive line and have a lead and maintain that lead from there. But now we're settling into game 2, onto one of the newer maps. Amphion LE is here, and it's an interesting map to say the least. Standard natural base location, a linear 3rd base location as well, but there are minerals. You can mine through these minerals to gain access to a shorter rush distance by ground towards your opponents, but you also have to mine through the minerals on the other side or knock down the rocks on the other side as well. So yeah, there's a bit of a give and take here. In general, if you do mine through these mineral patches, you can gain access to a very safe base location. We've seen a lot of Protoss. We've seen a lot of Protoss players take this triangular 3rd as their 3rd. So that is what we are, or that is what I'm at least expecting, but we'll see if Rum does embrace that. Behind this 3rd base is being taken. Yo, a shout out to Snogstar in the chat. Let's go. Polska, go Aristory. Let's go. I mean, again, I want to believe we can get a back and forth here, and again, even though that last game, Rum was in control for a very long time there, a lot of it did come down to his timing, did come down to his push, and I want to believe that we can bounce back and that Aristory can, again, adjust to his opponent and be ready for him. As the Neps, they do push forward, they do get the tumor. Tumor goes down. Not a bad start. Interesting, as a follow-up, that is not an Oracle opener, that is a Void Ray. Okay, Rom is spicing things up. Now with a Void Ray opener, the power of this kind of build from the Protoss is that you're hunting down Overlords. The goal of this build is to hunt down Overlords, is to keep the Zerg player in the dark as to what comes next. It could be a standard build. It could be a third base into Oracle, into +1 Blink Stalkers. Or we could be seeing a fast Twilight Council into Glaive Adepts without a Forge, into something more aggressive, and again, Aristry would not know what was going on. And there it is, there's a Twilight Council. As the third base is being taken, a very fast Twilight Council. Forge is on the way though, never mind. I was gonna make the assumption, oh, as Lings they get in! No shot, Lings, they do somehow slip in. We get a full scan of the main base, we get eyes on the Forge and plus, oh, sorry, on the Twilight Council on the Forge. And I'm curious if this is gonna be for charge. +1 in charge or +1 in blink. Which direction do we take? Gases are now on the way. And it is gonna be +1 and charge. Now, because this tech started so early, this should be in the back of Aristry's mind. He should be realizing, hold up, something is wrong here. Why do we already have upgrades on the way? Why do we already have tech here? Something doesn't line up. And we're going for a lair first. Okay. Now with this faster lair, this does mean that the Roach Warren is delayed. There is no Roach Warren right now for Aristry, which means this could be Ling Hydra. Doesn't have to be. And there we go. Safety Roach Warren thankfully is on the way, but we could have gone right into it. We could have skipped it, could have gone right into the Roach Warren, sorry, into the Hydra Den instead. But the Roach Warren has been thrown down. And once again, we're going to be settling in towards the mid game. These Adepts are getting a lot done, getting 5 drone kills. 6 drones, oh my god, 6 workers go down. The Lings, alas, they were not here to defend. Stasis traps goes off as well. 6 drones and 4 workers get caught in the stasis. Very nice damage dealt here by Brom. I called him Rob earlier. It's 5 AM. It's all bleeding together, Papi. I do miss Rob though. Those who don't know, he's the American Protoss. Rob, aka Robbie. Here we go. Rob threatening a move out. Again, the Prism is done. Charge has completed. We have +1. Looks like we're expanding behind this, taking a 4th. But this push can be brutal, especially if we don't have any roaches. And what is our army looking like? We have 0 roaches, 0 banelings. Ooh, if we did commit with this, this could get a lot of damage done. Aristry, he's in a bit of trouble right now. Is trying to expand, is trying to take another base. 4th and 5th on the way. How about the Zealots? They do get into the main base. They get a kill on the Queen. Do get the kill. Meanwhile, Rom didn't commit with his main army. He pulled back. We could have applied pressure. I feel like we could have dealt some damage here. Spire is done. I was talking about the potential Hydra Den, but alas, this time we skip out on roaches. We go for the Spire instead. Mutas are on the way. It's a really risky move here out of Aristry, but he's successfully building up these mutas. And what is the anti-air? Archons. Now, Archons, they aren't bad anti-air, but the problem here is that Archons are very immobile, and keeping up with a mass mutaflock is difficult. Here we go, as the mutaflock does threaten a move out. Does threaten the move out. Oh, the Prism gets caught. We do collapse here on top of the Archon. Very nicely done. We get a Prism, we get 2 Archons. Mutas, they head towards the main base, forcing a defensive warp in. At the same time, the main army pushing out across the map. Mutas, they come across these Stalkers. No shield battery in the main base, by the way. But at the same time, there's no stopping the main army. Ling Runback comes in. The wall's not a wall! The wall is wide open. Lings, they flood into the natural. Mutas, they're still wreaking havoc in the main base as well. Probes are going down. Oh. And who does this favor? That is the question now. Aristry does have quite a large mutaflock to work with. Looking at the units tab, 15 mutants in total, and there is no answer. We need Blink. Will Blink finish? That's the question. Looks like it will. Yeah, the mutants are going to be backing off. We collapse here on the 4th. Fourth base gets surrounded. It's going to be shut down. At the same time, though, we are losing a lot of drones, and we even came in the production. Oh. The Zealot Archon army has done so well for itself. Destroying one base, getting another. We do get a good amount of them. And Aristry is down to 2 bases. He's down to a 2-base setup here, but he does retain most of his drones. That's the weird thing. Aristry, he's on 74 workers, but he's mining from 2 bases. Ay, ay, ay. From here, Aristry does dip in between the bases, heads towards the 3rd base. Oh, wreaking havoc, killing so many probes. And again, this is the power of mass muta. Even with Phoenixes, it's so difficult to deal with as the Phoenixes are going down. Big cash there from Aristry. Is bleeding out some of these mutas, but they have already paid for themselves. They have done more than enough. With that, a handful of mutas are going to be racing back home. Rome, he's moving out with his army. Ooh, as we catch out more mutas. But honestly, Rom is pretty all in. He's pretty all in right now, and we are amassing Baneleys and Ravagers just in time. If it was only Ling, Roach, Muta, then Aristry would have been in some trouble, but Baneleys, they finish up just in time. They do crash in. Oh, so far, good splits out of Rom. He's pushing in, but the kiting is a little bit too good. We focus down 2 of those Archons. A 3rd Archon goes down. We're down to 1. We're down to 1 Archon remaining. It gets focused down. And this is it. This is all we have left. 2 Immortals and 4 Stalkers. Reinforcements are on the way. Again, we do have units coming in from every single angle. Aristry setting up a surround essentially with what little he has. And it is going to be enough. To clean this up. GG gets called, and Aristry, he fights back. He puts a point on the board. GG. GG, well played. A solid game there out of Aristry. Again, things were looking a little bit scary for him, but once he got into his mutas, once the mutas got unscouted, then he was able to get so much value with them. He's able to trade so well, and in the end forced the all-in. Was able to survive it. You could definitely argue that Rome could have been more active earlier, could have been more assertive earlier, 100%, but alas. Did choose not to. And now we're getting into game number 3. We're tied up 1-1. We're tied up here. We have a tied series. Who will take a lead though? Who will take a 2-1 lead? Will it be our Protoss or our Zerg? We have yet to determine. Oh, let's go. We have some mystery subs in the chat. Ga, papi, ga. Dzień dobry. Let's go. Do have some mystery supporters. And hey, I mean, we do have a tied up series. But who will take a lead? As we're getting into game 3 on Oceanborn. It looks like we may have lost someone, as it's taking a little bit longer to load in. It's taking a little bit longer. But hopefully we're all okay, and hopefully we haven't lost anyone. Fingers crossed. If we have, we can always remake. Hopefully we haven't been lost. That's what I'm most concerned about. Here we go. Meanwhile, I believe we have some other updates coming in. Do we have any qualified players? I think maybe Snockstar. I know we played a series against Mixu. Ooh, went all the way to the A smash, but it looks like Mixu has qualified for the closed qualifier. Did barely bring Snockstar down. Likewise, Middle VK takes down Arch 3-0. Very impressive. I would have favored Arch in this series against Mindle. Big win there by Middle VK. Meanwhile, we have Uwu Thermal versus Babas. Babas, a Swedish player. Let's go. And mid-series, we have Exo Striker versus Rodzin, as Exo Striker took down Shameless 2-0. Haymi still waiting for the winner of Fiance and Power. And Nikic did take down Uidi Soldier 3-0. Congratulations to Nikic as he advances on into the quarterfinals, or into the closed qualifier. So a lot of big results coming in. A lot of big matches. And based on this loading screen, I think we've lost someone. Feels bad, man. Yeah, there it is. Looks like we did end up losing Rom there, but we should be able to remake and should be able to bring it back in. Yes, it's okay. Is okay. Just gonna be remaking. For those that are curious how that works, if you're loading in to a game and if you end up disconnecting or if you lag out, the game itself waits for you to time out of the game before going to the score screen like that. So that's why you were stuck. We were stuck on that loading screen because we were just waiting for the timeout for the player. Just waiting for it there. But there we go. Looks like Rummy's back. He's back online. Going to be joining us soon. And we can get back into this. Thankfully. But again, hope everyone else has been enjoying themselves. Hope everyone has been having a good time. As a reminder, regardless of who wins and loses here, if you have a favorite player that does lose, they will have another chance tomorrow. They will have a second life, a second chance. Am I crazy? Where's Trifax? Did I miss him on the bracket? Yeah, Trifax was not a part of the bracket. Was he invited? No shot. Was he invited? He was not invited into the closed qualifier. Okay. So yeah, that's a little bit interesting. It's a shame if he's not taking part of these qualifiers, but regardless, here we go. We're diving into game number 3 as we're tied up 1-1. We're diving in to determine who takes the lead in the series. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our Polish Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Platinum Esports. It is Aristory. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the French Protoss, the blue Protoss player representing Red Pack Esports. It is Rum. Here we go. Okay, so we have seen Aristri mix things up a little bit here. Remember, in game 1, he did try to go into the mid game and rush into Lurker Tech unsuccessfully. We've tried to rush into Lurker Tech. In game number 2, we saw Aristri sneak out of Spire and go into Mass Muta with a lot more success, kind of turning the tables in his opponent and really punishing Rom for not being able to scout and confirm that it was Blink, that it was Mutas on the way. As a result, Blink was delayed, no shield batteries, and site defense was delayed. In general, Rom was unawares and unprepared. But now we're getting into game number 3, and how will things change? How will things differ? How will our players adapt? Now we do see just a gate expand into Cybercore standard opener here out of Rum. Likewise across the map, Mystery getting into his hatch gas pool. Nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the norm. Also, because I've been struggling here in this series, 100%. This will be our last series here of the... I mean, this is a qualifying match anyway, but even if there's another series that's ongoing after this, we will wrap up after this qualifying match. Because I do need to rest and try to make sure that I don't get any worse. But for now, the depth is going to be threading a shade, dancing across the map, dancing with the army. The back and forth has begun. Let's go. Here, Rome is going to pull back. And History is still just happily droning on up. We're getting to our take of choice. Once again, it's going to be a Stargate opener here from Rome. It is going to be Stargate into Oracle. Last game, we had a Void Ray opener, if you remember, which was able to hide the... Or, my apologies. Was unable to hide the tech choice, was unable to hide the transition, and unable to scout the follow-up either. So it makes sense here for Rum to just throw that Void Ray opener to the side and embrace a much more standard opener instead. As Epsay shade into the main base, to let Epsay get targeted down. Very nicely done. Very nicely done here. So we minimize our losses. We do set up here on 3 bases. Behind this, Rondo is investing into his oracles. With oracles, anything can happen. Ooh, Aristri going for a very fast lair, by the way. That is a 4-minute lair timing. Got my attention. With a lair this early on, I'm feeling potentially Nidus play. Do you have an Overlord poised to go into the main? Curious. If it was Drop Lords, we would have already seen Overlord speed. We should have already seen Overlord speed. Yeah, Lings and Queens are massing. It feels like Ling Queen Nidus all in. I'm feeling the Nidus all in, but we'll see how this all comes together. As Oracles have yet to dive in. Rom still hasn't scouted, by the way. We need to. Desperately need to come back in and get a scout of what's going on. He doesn't see the lair. No! The Oracles, they dip in towards the 3rd base, but they don't check the main. They don't check the main base. Lair is done. There's the Nidus on the way. So it is the Link Queen Nidus all in, as we did mention. The Oracles, they recall back home. Lings are harassing. Good damage dealt so far. Ling's just keeping the Protoss pinned back at home. But here come those Nidus worms. And are we going to be ready for this? Void Ray's on the way. That does help. Rom, I'm sure, does see... Yeah, the Nidus Worm is going to be focusing it down. As it's happening, Lings, they hit the third. A good stasis trap. Very nicely done. Stasis is going to be buying a lot of time here. But the Nidus does finish Queens. They get into the main base. They do bust into the main. We deny mining here in the mineral line. More Lings are filing in. And yeah, like this Nidus Worm, because it was unscattered, because it was able to get up and running here, we should be able to transfuse. We keep all these queens alive. Lings are flooding in. We do have a safe strap behind this. Do have potentially an overcharge as well. Shield battery is targeted, and yeah, we have broken this position. There's no saving it. There's no saving this main. And 2 base versus 3 base is never ideal for the Protoss. And again, we do see Risk-Free just securely making sure he gets a kill on the Nexus just before anything else happens. Gets to the Nexus, goes for the Twilight Council, goes for the Stargate. The Nidus finishes, and now we can just leapfrog over towards another base. Not like this. Nice sniper on the Nidus Worm. Good cleanup here from Rom. For the most part. As from here, we do see Rom trying to stabilize on 2 bases. I mean, we're throwing down gateways, throwing down pylons. Rom was supply blocked. But the reality is that we're losing so much tech, and behind this, Aristry's droning. He's saturating on 3 bases. He's getting a 4th base up and running. Aristry looking perfectly safe and perfectly sound behind this. Rom is anything but. There we go. Hydra speed now on the way for eventually Hydra production, for eventually Lurker production. Rom is moving out. I almost called him Tom. Right. Oh no. It's all getting to me. Romy rotates around. It looks like he will be able to cancel. Yeah, it does force a cancel. Does deny the 4th. Does deny the base. We'll be rotating around. I mean, denying the 4th is nice. Don't get me wrong. It is nice here. I think Hydra has amassed. We still are denying any kind of bases being taken here in the main. Oh, the Nidus does finish Hydras. They're popping out, and with their range, they can't deny mining here. At the same time, though, Rom doing something very similar. He was doing something very similar with his own lurkers. As the Nidus ones, they just keep on finishing up. On the army getting here. Should be back to that look. And can the game settle from here? It could settle. I'm hoping that it doesn't. I mean, Aristry, we gotta go. We gotta go sooner rather than later. We have to pull the trigger. Do you see him attempting to collapse of the army? It's a good amount of those. It's a good amount of those units. Oh, we're still trying to clean up all those active tumors. There's still 2 more here on the right-hand side. There's just so much creep. Again, it's just making it so awkward to maneuver. The wall is not a wall. Lings, they're flooding in. As the main army distracts these stalkers, we have Lings pushing in towards that natural. That is a lot of stalkers. Bear that in mind. Colossus comes out. Aristery, are we overextending? We go backs off before the Colossi really impact the game. Aristery gonna be pulling back. And this is concerning. We're in for a longer game. The reason why I say this, Aristery, he did a lot of good damage, but this infestation bit's late. And now that we've gotten into Colossus production, there's no pushing in without the infestation, but without the hive tech, without Vipers. As a result, Rom, we've survived. We've weathered the storm. We made it through the worst of it. And we're stabilizing on 4 bases. For now, we're on 3, but eventually we'll take a 4th. And Nidus gets shut down. And Rom is still very much so in this. Nidus worms are continuing, but I mean, what are we really getting here? We can maybe disrupt the production, maybe slow down the tech. As the Nidus does finish, but we dive on top of it almost immediately. Getting a couple of stalkers before just evacuating. And there it is, finally. Hive tech's on the way, Lurker tech's on the way, Hydro Lurker Viper is going to be on the horizon for Aristery. Now again, because Infestation Bit's so late, this transition is very late, and again, I should say Rom could catch out the army, could get a really good fight, and continue from there. Fun fact, I grabbed for my mic to get a drink of water. God. I'm losing it, Bobby. I'm losing it. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I do appreciate that we're continuing Nidus Swarms across the map, but this move out here from Rom is not looking too bad at all. Where are the Lurkers? Not again. Where are the Lunkers, puppy? It's pure Hydra? Now we have 2 Lurkers on the way, but these Lurkers are so late. And it's only 2. It's only 2 Lurkers. We deny the base. 12 drones going to be going down. The hatchery as well. Rom could keep pushing 100%, but he backs off. Turns back around, he backs off. Iris is gonna get shut down. We do see a couple of those gas guys is finishing up. But again, this army here from Rome without spellcasters, without Vipers, and I want to favor the Protoss. With spellcasters, I want to favor Aristery. I mean, it still comes down to the execution, to the angle of the yoink, the angle of the deduction. Making sure we don't waste it. Here we go. The Lurkers, they have been amassing. How many Lurkers do we have? 8. 8 Lurkers. Good feedbacks here on the Hydras. Good storms as well. Looks like good feedbacks on the Vipers. Storms are good on the Hydras. Aristery going for a Ling run by. Does attempt that Ling run by, but we do have a full wall. Rami's going to be able to defend back at home without losing too much. Likewise, Nidus on the way. Nidus does finish! And the Lurkers, they have made it. It does force a recall. Does force a recall back home. Lurker's going to be going down. And Nidus Swarm gets shut down as well. And Rome was able to snipe a base. Oh, and a Viper as well. 13 drones. Rome he's denying bases. He just killed the center base. He just denied top right. Aristry is hurting. Economically, Aristry, he is hurting right now. As we rotate around, we ignore these lurkers. We leave them be. We head towards the base. Another hatchery will go down. We have an immortal in the main. And yeah, from here, Aristry, it's been slipping away. It's been slipping through Aristry's hands, and now Rome is looking poised here. He's in a good position. Now, thankfully for Aristry, there's no Skytoss, right? Like, if there was a carrier on the way, if there was like a mothership on the way, I would be concerned, but there is no Skytoss yet. So pure Hydra Lurker Viper, this composition can carry you here in this matchup. As long as the opponent doesn't really embrace Skytoss, then we're okay. Okay. Stream moving out does catch a couple of free units. Couple. Army's gonna be clashing. Just pushing forward. The lurker count is looking solid. Now, because the lurker count is so much higher nowadays, I would be concerned here for Rome, and I would want to see a higher lurker, sorry, a higher immortal army instead. And then in some of these previous games, we have been a little bit harsh here about how heavily we've been investing into immortals, but immortals, they can work wonders. Meanwhile, Celeron gets 29 drones across the map, almost gets a kill in the hatchery, and will get another kill in this hatchery as well. Ay. Lurkers are breaking through. We pick up High Templar. We yoink one of those one of those Colossi. And Rom, he collapses on the army, and Clum, he has recovered. I'm so impressed here as Rom weathered the storm, makes use of it himself, collapses on the army, and Aristry has nothing left. GG gets called, and Rom takes a lead in the series 2-1. GG. Very impressive stuff. I do apologize if there was a lot of like muted time there, just because I was constantly muting and constantly like clearing my throat and blowing my nose and coughing. So I do apologize. But yeah, that was a very impressive game. Winding it back if you weren't here for it, winding it back a little bit if you weren't here for it, Aristry was attempting to, or did initially go for a Link Queen Night Assault in that was quite successful. Did do a lot of damage in the main base, to kill a lot of probes in general, and did attempt to transition out of it into a more mid-game standard-oriented game. From my understanding, though, that transition was a little bit abrupt, and I mean, it wasn't ideal there. We saw that Aristry, his infestation was very late. His transition to Hydras, into his hive, and into his lurkers was very delayed as well. Aristry was maybe just a little bit too tunnel visioned, and Rom was able to recover. Despite losing so much, Rom, you know, just a cool, calm, and collected head, like any other game. And Rom, he was able to just stabilize, able to turtle up, able to defend, able to eventually get into a better position. And with that, Rom, one more is all he needs. Here we go. Now we're getting into our next game, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkion, and we have our Polish Zerg player, the red Zerg representing Platinum Esports, down in the series. He has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. It is Aristry. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the French Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Red Pack Esports, one game away from qualifying for the closed qualifier of EPT Spring of the European Regionals. It is Rome. CD32 when? Ah, not like this. What is CD32? I know it's a tournament. It's God, my brain isn't working right now. Plug yourself in the chat. Hyper One, plug yourself. Oh. Yes, we are on a delay. Why he keeps saying Macro versus Protoss? My boy's trolling. I see Nidus, so I assume Link Queen Nidus earlier. Yes, it was Link Queen Nidus all in. And for those that weren't here for the start of game number of the previous game, Aristry went for a Link Queen Nidus all in. Did kill the main base, by the way. Killed the main base, got a lot of probe kills, but Rome was able to recover, able to turtle up and recover from there, which was impressive. Very impressive stuff there by Rome. Despite the fact that Aristry had such a nice lead from that moment. Despite the fact that Aristry was able to have a solid economy and even take up quite nicely as well. Was able to take up quite nicely. And so now, Hatchgas Pool, standard opener out of our Zerg player. Likewise, standard opener out of our Protoss as well. Who's begging to play 4 maps versus Sky Toss Operators? Oh, let's go. The dream, Poppy, the dream. The dream, as once again Stargate opener. We have yet to see a Twilight Council opener out of Rum. He just hasn't done it. He has mixed things up with Void Rays or with Oracles with this kind of opener, but that's really the most amount of deviation we've seen from Rum, at least so far today. Something that we have seen is his tenacity, especially in that last game, to just weather the storm, to just stick in it, stick with it, despite how bleak things are looking. And turn things back around. Again, very impressive stuff. Let's see. We'll see how things will differ here in game number 4. Again, Rom needs one more. Meanwhile, I'm hoping for an ace match. I mean, my body isn't, but my heart is. I'm just hoping for an ace match, hoping for a game 3. There we go. Third base is being taken. Oracles are on the way. So far, so good. Ooh, as that is a fast Roach Warren. That is a 4-minute, sub 4-minute Roach Warren here from Aristry. Considering the fact that this was not a Twilight Council opener, this was a Stargate opener, this Roach Warren should not be this early on, so I'm curious if we're going for an early Roach push. I feel like we are. Aristry Queens are getting in position, Lings are amassing as we speak, Spores are on the way, true. We are setting up very defensively here on this 3-base setup. As the Oracles are rotating over towards the left-hand side, and again, we have not droned, by the way. More Lings, more Queens, and more Roaches. Oh, as I say that, after my words, now we are droning at least a little bit towards the end. Did we make any Roaches? Oh, my apologies. I assumed we made Roaches. We are just droning, so it looks like Aristry was just playing very safely. A very safe play here out of Aristry, but this early Roach Warren, it means that, I mean, as we can see, we haven't made any Roaches. We haven't needed to. So it was a bit of wasted resources. Just to be safe. He's trying to keep up. And Ram is able to get into his own 3-base setup. Now, because it took a long time for Aristry to drone, and you can even see here, like, Aristry's droning is very haphazard. It's not very clean macro, very clean saturation from Aristry. Because of that, Aristry, he's able to happily get into his setup here on 3 bases, even work towards a 4th. Aristry's playing catch up. He's droning up as best he can. CD equals circle derping. Circle derping, and it's a FFA tournament where you fight for control of the middle of the map, and you die to 4 Skytoss players eventually. Oh, let's go. That sounds like a time. Lovely, Bobby, lovely. I haven't experienced that myself, but I don't think I want to. Oh no. I've experienced that in my dreams and my nightmares, Bobby. Aye. Stage trap goes off. Gonna be able to shave off some of those lings. Pull back towards the goal base. So far, good blinks here out of Rom. Death finally goes down. Oh, look at the trades. We finally killed an adept, and it's been 1 adept here for 19 lings and 1 overlord. Oh my, the efficiency, Papi, the efficiency. Speaking of, more lings going down, but we do have a decent amount of roaches. We have a decent amount now. Everybody has to be careful. Will we lose the Soul? Oh my god, almost. Gasito, Papi, gasito. As Roostery is getting a 4th, so is Rum. So Rum circling around. Likewise, at the same time, Zella drop into the main base. Adepts here towards the natural. Main army towards the 4th. Almost every base here on fire in some way. We're losing drones. The drones are going down. Zealots, they do walk all the way towards that natural. Gonna get 5 drones so far. We're getting the spawning pool. Spawning pool is falling, and we're pulling Aristry apart. I mean, Aristry still has a large army, but a lot of that supply is in roaches, and roaches, they are inflated supply. The soup can sometimes lie here, as we mainly have roaches. Meanwhile, back at home, Rom was working on a mainly big stalker-based army, but now we're getting into more immortals. We have the Temple Archives on the way. That's going to be for Archon production. Rom is working towards a pretty good place. Do snipe a couple of those overlords, blinking back, bleeding out a couple of stalkers. Ooh, shield battery isn't done, by the way. Aristry, he's maxing out. Now, Aristry doesn't have much of his economy. He's pretty all in. Aristry's pretty committed, pretty all in with this. Is moving out. We do have the overcharge. It is depowered though. Overcharge gets depowered. Roach Ravager breaking through the defensive line. No shield battery, no overcharge, and it looks like Aristry, he is breaking through this army. Regardless of the trades, regardless of the fact that Aristry is all in. It looks like he might have enough here. Yeah, he looks like he does. GG gets called. Aristry just hammering down that roach button. You can kill my drones, you can destroy my tech, but I don't even care because I'ma just make the roach. And I'ma just, hey, move, Bobby. GG, well played. We're going to the ace match. Whew, oh boy. I was concerned. I was concerned that it might have ended then and there. That Rome would be able to run away with it. But thankfully, we have that ace match. Regardless of how this goes, it's been a fun series. And how will it end? What map we're going to be loading into? Here we go. I'm just looking at the graphs here towards the end, where towards the end again, you know, the economy was in favor of the Protoss. The tech was in favor of the Protoss, but the feeling, Papi. Feeling is all we did need. Getting ready for that final game. Oh, it's gonna be on Ghost River. Uh-oh. Let's go. Ghost River is coming up next. The final game of the series. It all ends here. It all ends on Ghost River. Let's go. So I'm gonna stretch right up, right as we load in, because I need to stretch. Okay, here we go. This is it. This is where it all ends. The finale of this qualifying match. We have gone the distance here all the way to game number 5, to the ace match. But there's no more from here. One way or another, we will be crowning a qualified player, and the other will have to try again tomorrow for a second chance. As spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Polish Zerg player, the red Zerg for Platinum Esports. It is Aristory. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the blue Protoss player for Land of France, representing Red Pack Esports. It is Rum. Let's go. It all ends here. Now, Ghost River, all these maps have their own new features, of course, but this one is, it is the shortest rush distance map in the map pool, shorter than Hard Lead in the previous map pool as well. It's like one screen. It's like one screen here from natural to natural. A very short rush distance. Likewise, you can mine through these middle patches to make the rush distance even shorter, or even knock down these rocks to open things up. As Aristory is forced like the unnatural natural. Ooh, a bold base to be taken here. Meanwhile, Rum opening up Gate Expand. We're getting into our initial openers. Let's go. Interesting that we didn't have like a 12 pool or like any kind of early pool or early gas timing. Everything looking pretty above board here from Aristory, so far at least. Everything is looking above board. Now, what's interesting about this map is that, yes, very short rush distance by ground, but it's also very defendable. So it's a double-edged sword here when it comes if you want to be aggressive. What I mean by that is that these two ramps, whether it's this ramp here, or even this ramp here leading in towards that third base location, the first two are very narrow. Very, very narrow choke points here. It's very difficult to actually push up these ramps, especially because you can have the concave, you can have that defenders and high ground advantage. Same can be said here outside this third base. Yes, there are multiple ramps to get up here onto this point of elevation, but really you just have to control this area and you can deter any kind of move out here from your opponent. So even though the bases are very close to each other, even though the rush distance is very short, once you can settle into the mid game, it can be very difficult to actually move out and actually end the game without your opponent being more than ready for you. It's been difficult. Oh, meanwhile, the Lings, they do actually bust in. They get us around on the pylon. The boys are being pulled. Probes are going down. This is becoming too much. 4 or 5 workers do fall. We get to take the 7th probe as well. Oh my god, a surprising amount of damage done here. Again, the Adept gets caught out on the map, out of position. And Aristory doing so well for himself. Of course, behind this Aristory, he's not making a second army. He's been droning this entire time. Making a couple of lings here and there, sure, but has been mainly droning. And how do we follow this up? Would you have a second and a third gateway on the way? I imagine we're just going to be taking our third base and throwing down some tech, but keep an eye on Rum. See what he wants to go for. Oracle threatens that natural. Hit in between the bases. Does come across the third base. Queens. Oh, they are a bit out of position. Oh, but that's a snipe. That's a kill. That is a kill on the Oracle. And just like that, 4 drone kills. Not worth losing an entire Oracle. Now we can threaten to move out. Behind this, Roach Horn now on the way. 5-minute Roach Horn timing, very standard Roach Horn here from Aristry. Lair is on the way as well. Just now starting up. And again, this tells us that Aristry plans on saturating his third and maybe even getting a fourth base. Looking towards a longer setup. Meanwhile, we do see Rom instead back at home investing into his own Robo, his own Twilight Council, his own third base. I think, again, the game is going to be settling from here. Now, something that's interesting is that there's no Forge. No Forge. Interesting. I'm curious if we're planning to go for something like Charge or like Glaives as a follow-up. Oracle gets in. Gets a couple of drones. Lings are going to be deterred by some of the Oracles. And yep, there it is. We have our answer. It is indeed Charge instead, not Blink. Oh, no, then we changed our mind. It is Blink instead, not Charge. But I'm still a little bit perplexed. I'm still a little bit confused as to why Rom did not throw down a Forge. Still no Forge, still no upgrades. The Bay is on the way instead. Okay. We get some answers here. Bays are going to be on the way. That is going to be for Colossus production. Meanwhile, I believe Aristry has yet to confirm this. Yeah, he has yet to really get confirmation on the main. As Rum is moving out. Just with a handful of units, like Rum isn't going to be committing, he's just posturing here. Behind this Ling Roach Ravager is going to be the composition from Rum. Unlike the previous games, there's no smiles. There's no like rushing into earlier, into other kind of tech. Whether it's Hydras, whether it's Lurkers. As Lings now do threaten, they get eyes on the would-be fourth. They do delay it. Now, finally, we do get Forges on the way. That's going to be for those upgrades to Archives as well. Going to be for Storm. We do see Aristry. It looks like he does want to commit. Creep is spreading. Again, we did take note earlier that we have not teched up into Hydras. We've not teched up into an Infestation Pit. We're just maxing out on Ling Roach Ravager once again. Aristry pulling the trigger. Is all in. Pom does have a higher worker count. That doesn't matter. Not when you're facing down an army of Roach Ravager. Aristry just trying to force the issue here. And he is getting on top of the army. The Stalkers are crumbling. The Adepts as well. This Colossus putting in a lot of work, but it goes down. The Disruptor has arrived, but it gets targeted as well. And it looks like Rom, he's once again just not quite ready for this push. 2 games in a row. Aristry, he cuts workers earlier on. Maxes out with Roach Ravager. Pulls the trigger. And Rom cannot deal with it. We're trying to have the overcharge. We're trying to keep and maintain our army. But there's only so much that overcharge can do. And there it is. GG gets called. Aristry, he bounces back in this series. I was so concerned a couple of games ago, especially when our Protoss player was popping off. But Aristry does take it in the end, 5-2. Went to the ace match and will be qualifying for the closed qualifier. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to... Chama, papi, chama. Fala galera, papi. Congratulations here to Aristry for taking the series in the end. Oh, it was a very back and forth. Very much so a back and forth series there. A roller coaster ride of emotions, and in the end, Aristry was able to come out on top. GG, very well done, very well played. Meanwhile, I believe the rest of the bracket has been progressing, and I believe it's already done. Let's double check. From the top. From the very top here, we have our first 2 qualified players. Strange took down Hydra 3-0. Strange has qualified for the closed qualifier. Scrolling down, we do have Nikic taking down UED Soldier 3-0 as well. Big shout out there to Nikic for claiming that series, for advancing on. So that is going to be the Zerg player from Belarus. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Fiant versus Hate Me. They are the only series left. They are mid-series. And did I say mid-series? Because it looks like they just came out of game. But Fiant versus Hate Me, they I think still have yet to be reported. Scrolling down, Rodzin takes down Extra Striker 3-1. Congratulations to Rodzin, Polish Protoss player. Scrolling down, Uwu Thermal versus Bubas. Thermal did make it through, did qualify. And of course, we have Aristri qualifying over Rom, Middle VK qualifying over Art, and Mixu qualifying over Snockstar. Again, the only series that we're waiting for, the only series we're waiting on is Fiant versus Hate Me. I say that, but Fiant has had a game, so I'm not so sure. Not so certain. But yeah, with that, technically I could try to wait and jump into Fiant versus Hate Me, but I think we are going to be done for the night. I do apologize for constantly muting. I don't know if you noticed, but I was constantly muting throughout the broadcast here. I've been very under the weather for the past almost 2 weeks. It's been almost 2 weeks that I've been sick. I don't know. I mean, I don't know when I'm gonna recover. Hopefully, not too long from now. Oh, we got an update. Hey me, he 3-0'd Fiant. That wraps up our European qualifier. Congratulations to Hey me for the 3-0 over Fiant. My condolences to Fiant. But again, they can try again tomorrow. But yeah, basically, I came back to Australia a couple of weeks ago, and at the end of March, basically, at the very end of March, I came back to Australia. And right after I came back from Australia, I got sick. I think I got the flu on the flight over, maybe. That's my theory, at least. I think I got like a variation of COVID or something on the flight over. And that first day, I had like a heavy fever and I had like muscle pains everywhere. And it only lasted a day. I was fine afterwards. But ever since then, for the past like week and a half, I've just been non-stop coughing. Like it's been brutal, Bob. It's been brutal. I've been barely able to sleep because I'm like waking up in the middle of the night, like just coughing, and even like having a hard time sleeping because I'm just constantly coughing. Yeah, even here for the broadcast, I'm constantly muting because I'm coughing and stuff. So hopefully we can get better. I would usually love to cast the Americas qualifier, which is in a couple of hours. I think it's like in 2 hours time. But I think I should stop. I think I should just calm down for now. I want to cast the Asia qualifier tomorrow. So I think I'm just gonna be taking a break. I'm gonna just get some rest. I'll be back for the Asia qualifier tomorrow and maybe the European qualifier as well. I'm very torn because every season for the past couple of years here on the CranKy Ducklings, we've casted every single region. We cast Asia, we cast China and Taiwan when they were a region. We cast Americas, we cast EU. I very rarely get sick. That's why we take so little time off. But this flight ruined me, and for the first time in a long time, I'm like proper sick, and it feels bad, man. It feels bad. Like on the one hand, I understand I have to get better, but you know, it's breaking the tradition. It's breaking our CranKy Duckling tradition of casting all the regions. Smurge, baby, smurge. So yeah, I think I gotta tap out for today. I think I gotta tap out. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of broadcasts covering the Americas region. I'm sure, you know, Steadfast, Behemoth, Chicken Man, Dave Testa, maybe Rotterdam. I'm sure there is gonna be some coverage of the Americas qualifier. Usually we would cast it, and I would love to cast it, but I think I should be getting some rest here. So yeah, I wish all the players in the Americas region the best of luck. Wish them all the best from the Americas and from Latin America as well. Wish them the best. Otherwise, I'm gonna be going in and just gonna get some rest. I'll do my best, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Asia qualifier. Regardless of what happens, Asia qualifier, we'll be there. We'll cast it, bring it to you live. Otherwise, I'm gonna be heading off here for the night. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support. Again, as a reminder, in 2 hours there should be the Americas qualifier, so keep an eye out for that. Again, a lot of amazing matches. I do apologize for my casting as well, like, again, because I'm under the weather. It was pretty low energy, and my, like, I just had like fog over my mind, so like I was having a hard time concentrating. So I apologize, and it'll be getting better, I'm sure, in a couple of days. We'll be getting better. It's all good, it's all good. Otherwise, thanks so much. Until then, hasta luego, papi, hasta luego. See you guys tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Take care. Ciao. Ciao, papi.